Hello and welcome to the weekly Reef wrap-up, number 3. A lot has happened this week. It has been really busy around here. I'll start showing you the wellness check. This is the 150-gallon section of the sump. And as I mentioned in the last episode, I do my best to take a look every day if I can and make sure everything is good. This is where I'll reach in and fix any problems, things that have fallen over, maybe coral war going on. And I keep an eye on things like this Duncan, which has algae deep down inside. There's my Cinerina and the beautiful little Lobo that started small, Blastomussa. And this has got to be my favorite vignette, I think, in the whole tank. All of these Leptocerus, Leptastria, Jack-o'-lantern, I just love it. I'm going to do my best to move this intact into the new tank, if at all possible. And here's a frag rack with a couple things on here, doing pretty well. Couple of SPS, there's a Miyagi tort, started out as a tiny 1/4-inch nub. There's a Duncan that I got for free as a single head, and this stunner is a Naughty Spiral. I'm loving the color. It's actually pretty spectacular. It's encrusting right up the side of the stock tank. So hopefully I won't damage it too much when the time comes to move it into the new tank. And over here is my war coral. It continues to grow at a good pace. A couple of chalices. Here's an overview of what everything looks like. Sometimes I forget what I have in here, and so it's a really good thing to shut off all the flow and take a good look at it. I can hardly wait to get this stuff moved out of here. Here we are in the frag tank, and it's pretty obvious. As you can see, I have nutrients in here. This hair algae only took about maybe 3 days to go from little tiny dots to this luxuriant coating on the bottom. Luckily, I have a tool for this. You guys are going to get sick of me talking about this Hygger vacuum cleaner, but it has so many uses that are actually practical and not imaginary like you get in some tools. I reversed this nozzle end to act as a scraper, and it took a little bit to loosen the algae from the bottom, but ultimately it worked really well. I left the filter running so whatever didn't get siphoned out would be drawn into the filter because I knew I was going to clean it later. And the beauty is whatever got siphoned out went straight into the bucket. And this allowed me to do a small water change, which by this time the tank needs anyway because obviously, yes, there are nutrients in here. Got some new corals today. 2 torches. I had one like this like 6 years ago, and I've never had one like this before, but it's pretty. Also got this Favia and this Samacora that's right beside it, as well as a Goniopora that's in the other tank right now. Let's see how they do. All right, so the stand is in the room, and here's something we didn't think of. See these shutters? Well, the middle one is in front of the window that opens. So this window opens, right? And take a look. Watch this. Whoa! Didn't plan on that, but it worked out okay. I figured now that I had algae growing in the frag tank, and quickly, it might be a good time to pick up some more cleanup crew. Not just for the frag tank, but also for the observation tank and the subsystem. I picked up 10 turbo snails, 15 red-legged hermit crabs, and this little guy. I decided the best place for this guy was the observation tank. There's a lot of coralline algae growing everywhere. The bottom is a bit of a mess. Even the rocks could use some cleanup. So I acclimated him properly and then put him in there. And as you can see, it did not take long for him to get right to work. I also put some small pieces of rock rubble in the back, and by the end of the day, he was wearing them. Love these little guys. And part of that same order from the LFS included these 2 maize brains. That makes 5 different ones I have now. I can hardly wait to create my maze brain garden. The skimmer continues to perform really well. I only run it a few hours a day because of the low nutrients, and the stuff that comes out of here is very chunky. It only needs a quick clean. I don't worry too much about getting it spotless. And once it's all cleaned up, put the lid back on and get it back and ready to continue the next day. Well, what have we here? My husband has been hard at work making a couple of controller cabinets for me. There's one on the other side that matches, so I'm gonna do my best not to have any cords crossing behind the aquarium. Yeah, that was a nightmare last time. Not doing it again if I can at all avoid it. So it's just a simple cabinet. They're made to be removable, wing nuts, so that if I do need to get in behind the tank, I have the ability to take that right off of there, set it aside, and do whatever's necessary. And look, I've got my special doorknobs. Okay, there she is. We're getting ready, making plans for the move-in in a couple of days. And as soon as that happens, I will update you guys. Really looking forward to that. Now we got to take a bunch of measurements and make sure everything's good. See if we need to. We're not going to wreck any doors with this one, I promise you.
2 hours later.
Okay, in the latest chapter of New Tank Nightmare, let me show you something. To backtrack a little, when we first received the aquarium, it was crated up, and if you watch that video, you might be able to look at the packaging and all of that. And we measured, and we did not realize we were measuring including the overflow. So we thought the tank was 66 inches front to back. But guess what? It isn't. I'm gonna get that tape. Okay, look at this. It's supposed to have been 70.5. So guess what? My actual display is only 60 by 60. Now, that's still a pretty big tank. That's still over 300 gallons. But there are so many implications of this. And right now we're working our way through what the heck to do about everything. First step is to make the stand safe to support this weight, considering there is no longer going to be a front brace going right across supporting the full width of the tank. So we have to have new supports inserted. My God, I'll show it all to you in a video, but all I can think of is, how the did this happen? The stand is the right size. I am not going to give up, but so now, once again, I have no clue when this tank will be coming into the house. So I'll finish off with some footage of my urchin. You know what? He looks like a Mr. Potato Head, so I think that's his name now. He's picked up one of the Recordia frags, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with that. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, why not give it a thumbs up? And if you're interested in seeing what the heck happens next, maybe subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Stay safe, everybody, and we'll see you next week.